Do you remember the thrill of powering up your first mobile phone? For many of us, that phone was a Nokia. The screen glowed a soft green, the ringtones were monophonic, and Snake was the greatest game ever programmed. You could swap out the faceplate to match your mood and drop the phone repeatedly without breaking it. No wonder people still joke that a falling Nokia could crack a sidewalk. Nokia was more than a device. It was a cultural phenomenon. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, the Finnish company's iconic brick phones were everywhere. They connected teenagers sending their first text messages and executives closing million-dollar deals. They were status symbols and lifelines, indestructible companions that defined a generation. But behind the nostalgic glow lies a cautionary tale. How did a company that once controlled over 40% of the global mobile phone market lose its throne so quickly? Was it complacency, competition, or a failure to adapt to the smartphone revolution? Grab your charger and settle in. Let's rewind the story of Nokia's rise and fall and uncover the lessons it holds for today's tech giants. Nokia's origins trace back to 1865, when mining engineer Frederick Idestam built a paper mill on the banks of Finland's Tamerkoski Rapids. Over the next century, the company diversified into rubber, cables, and electronics. By the 1980s, as deregulation opened Europe's telecommunications markets, Nokia's leaders saw a new opportunity: mobile phones. Jorma Ollila, who became CEO in 1992, refocused the company on telecommunications and divested unrelated businesses. That strategy paid off. Within a few years, Nokia's operating profits surged from negative to nearly $4 billion. Nokia was a pioneer in the emerging GSM standard, helping build the world's first digital cellular network and enabling the first GSM call on 1 July 1991. Its 1987 Mobira Cityman 900 weighed a hefty 760 grams and cost about $5,000, but it demonstrated that mobile calls could be made outside of cars. In 1992, Nokia launched the 1011, the first commercially available GSM phone. With sleeker designs and longer battery life, Nokia's phones began to appeal to ordinary consumers. By 1998, Nokia overtook Motorola to become the world's best-selling mobile phone brand. The company's 5110 and 3210 models offered interchangeable faceplates and built-in games, charming younger users and sparking a fashion trend. Nokia co-founded Symbian Limited in 1998 to develop an operating system for its emerging smart devices. It wasn't just about hardware anymore. Nokia was laying the groundwork for an ecosystem. Within a decade, Nokia had transformed from a diversified industrial conglomerate into a telecommunications powerhouse. Its headquarters in Espoo became the epicenter of mobile innovation. The story seemed like a modern fairy tale. A company from a small Nordic nation conquering the world with technology few had imagined 10 years earlier. By the early 2000s, Nokia was unstoppable. With a market share approaching 30%, nearly twice that of its nearest competitor, the brand became synonymous with mobile phones. Nokia employed more than 55,000 people and operated in 140 countries. In some regions, people even assumed Nokia was Japanese because the brand felt so ubiquitous. The 3310, released in 2000, epitomized Nokia's dominance. Its durable build, week-long battery life, and addictive games turned it into an icon. Legend has it that the 3310 was indestructible. Memes still celebrate its ability to survive being run over by a car. The 1100 and 1110 became the world's best-selling phones, thanks to their affordability and long battery life. Meanwhile, high-end models like the 7650 and 6600 introduced built-in cameras and color screens, pushing the boundaries of what phones could do. Nokia's influence extended beyond technology. Text messaging and the Nokia tune became cultural touchstones. People bought colorful, express-on covers to personalize their phones, and the company's polyphonic ringtones dominated charts. Ads featuring young people snapping pictures on their 7650s or playing multiplayer Snake created aspirational imagery. At its peak in 2007, Nokia captured about 40% of the global handset market and 51% of the smartphone market. The company's N95 smartphone impressed reviewers with its two-way slider design, built-in GPS, and 5-megapixel camera. From rural villages in India to boardrooms in New York, Nokia was the phone to have. Little did anyone know that the seeds of its downfall were being sown at the same time. Nokia's fall wasn't the result of a single catastrophic event, but a series of missteps, market shifts, and internal challenges. Early warning signs appeared in 2004, when its handset market share dropped from 34.6% to 28.9%. Although Nokia rebounded to an all-time high of 40.4% in 2007, new competitors were quietly reshaping the industry. The launch of Apple's iPhone in 2007 and the rise of Google's Android platform signaled a shift from hardware-centric phones to software-driven smartphones with app ecosystems. Nokia's Symbian OS, once a leader, had become cumbersome for developers. Internally, the company struggled to make decisions quickly. A 2004 reorganization created a complex matrix structure that slowed innovation and fostered infighting. Success bred conservatism. Managers focused on incremental improvements rather than bold experiments. As INSEAD's Yves Doz notes, Nokia's decline stemmed from dysfunctional structures, growing bureaucracy, and a failure to recognize the shift from product-based competition to platform-based ecosystems. While competitors built app stores and touch interfaces, Nokia clung to Symbian. The company experimented with its own Linux-based systems, Memo and Migo, but never fully committed. In 2005, Nokia's N-Gage handheld tried to merge gaming and phones but flopped. The OV Store, launched in 2008 as a competitor to Apple's App Store, suffered from limited apps and clumsy user experience. By 2010, Symbian's limitations were painfully obvious. Nokia's board replaced CEO Olli-Pekka Kallasvuo with Stephen Elop, a former Microsoft executive. Elop famously likened Nokia to a burning platform and argued that the company had to jump to survive. In February 2011, Nokia announced a strategic partnership with Microsoft and adopted Windows Phone as its primary smartphone platform. The decision alienated developers and consumers who had grown wary of Nokia's shifting strategies. Demand for Symbian phones collapsed when customers realized the platform was being abandoned. Nokia's first Windows Phone device, the Lumia 800, debuted later in 2011. Although praised for its design, it arrived in a market already dominated by iOS and Android. Sales remained tepid. By 2012, Nokia's share price fell below $2. The company laid off thousands of employees and closed factories. Attempts to differentiate with features like PureView cameras impressed reviewers but didn't sway mainstream consumers. In September 2013, Nokia agreed to sell its mobile devices division to Microsoft. The deal, completed in April 2014, marked the end of an era and underscored how quickly Nokia's fortunes had changed. Microsoft later wrote off the acquisition as a loss. Analysts point to several lessons. Companies must stay agile, avoid complacency, and understand that success today doesn't guarantee relevance tomorrow. Nokia underestimated the importance of software ecosystems and failed to pivot in time. Its internal culture, once a strength, became a barrier to innovation. Although Nokia's reign ended abruptly, its legacy endures. The company's phones became cultural icons, remembered for their toughness, long battery life, and the cheerful Nokia tune. In memes, the 3310 still symbolizes indestructibility. Nostalgia for Nokia is so strong that HMD Global, the company founded by former Nokia employees, licensed the brand in 2016 and re-released classic models like the 3310 and 5310. Recent feature phones include a revived Nokia 3210 in 2024. However, HMD rebranded itself as Human Mobile Devices in 2024, and by 2025 discontinued Nokia-branded smartphones, keeping the name only for feature phones. In effect, Nokia lives on as a nostalgia-driven badge for simple, sturdy devices. For Finland, Nokia remains a source of national pride. Its rise contributed up to 4% of the country's GDP and 70% of the Helsinki Stock Exchange's market capitalization at its peak. The company continues to innovate in network infrastructure and technologies like 5G and virtual reality. Perhaps the greatest lesson from Nokia's story is the danger of believing you're untouchable. Technology moves fast, consumer preferences shift, and the giants of one era can quickly become relics. Did you ever own a Nokia phone? What are your memories of playing Snake or swapping colorful covers? Share your stories in the comments. We'd love to hear them. And don't forget to subscribe to Relic Rewinds for more trips down memory lane every week. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.